are thrilled to be joined by Dr. Michael Smith, a psychiatry resident at
Yes.
NYU Langone, and he has a
Mhm.
remarkable story that he's going to share with us about his path through medical training, as well as sharing some of the lessons that he's learned along the way, and hopefully maybe some inspiring tidbits that you could share with trainees coming along on their own journey as well. Dr. Smith, welcome. Thank you for joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
Well, maybe start by just telling us a bit about your path. If you
Yeah.
can share in your own words how you navigated and how you found your way into medicine.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll start with some background information. I'm originally from Queens, New York, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. As far as medicine, hmm, it was a pretty non-traditional path. So yeah, I can't say that I was born with this calling to go into medicine. It was more of like a stepwise journey. It originally started with healthcare in general through my mom. My mom, she worked in maintenance at a hospital in one of the city hospitals here in New York. And she saw that I was graduating and suggested career paths that might be, beneficial to me. So one of them was an x-ray tech. So she knew some x-ray techs at her hospital. They were making a great living for themselves. They had great benefits through the hospital and the union. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me look into it. I really didn't have any specific trajectory for my career at 17 years old. I just knew I needed to graduate and I didn't want to be broke. So I ended up going to New York City College of Technology. I registered as a rad tech, I guess major or whatever. And I did the prereqs for that, chemistry, no, it's no chemistry, it was bio, some introductory classes or whatnot. Did that for about 2 years until I got into my externship. Then I was kind of exposed to healthcare in a more formal setting. And I did my externships at this like Mount Sinai's now, but it was St. Luke's,
Mhm.
St. Luke's in Morningside and St. Luke's on 116th by Columbia University, and also at Woodhall. It was a great experience. It was really like an eye opener to like, oh, all right, it was something different from what I grew up seeing. A lot of people where I came from really didn't come into those opportunities often. I learned and soaked up everything that I could. And I felt like, why not go for my swing for this, or like swing for the stars, or whatever the expression is.
Mm.
Saw some residents or medical students at the time within the radiology department, and they were kind of doing their rounds, and I got intrigued to do medicine.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I got intrigued. And then also there was like rumors of a kid that was 2 years ahead of us in our rad tech class that was considering the idea of going to medical school. And he looked like me, right? He had cornrows, he dressed hip. And I was really like, I admired that. I was like, hey man, he sounded confident. Like this is what he wanted to do. I never really spoke to him. I just heard rumblings of it. And then it made someone else in my program want to do that too. I don't know if they ever even did it, but that kind of also kind of fueled my curiosity into it. And I just started doing my own research. Like I looked into what the requirements were for medical school, like a bachelor's degree, all the prereq classes, the MCAT, the amount of time. And I just kind of looked up that whole process. Nothing about the process seemed like something too far-fetched. Like it didn't feel like I had to be in terms of time. All right, I got 10 years to figure it out. I see applications, there's waivers and fees, so like for the MCAT at the time, I believe, and I ended up deciding to pursue that. I wanted to not be broke, right? So I ended up finishing my rad tech program. Then after that, the plan, I was still kind of on the fence about it. So I made like this hybrid plan of getting a job for 1 year, sorting out how to transition into going into medicine, and kind of doing that for a year, and then going on to whatever bigger and better things that life had in store for me. So towards the end of my rad tech program, I graduated. I applied to Hunter College. I had plans of finishing up my bachelor's degree in bio there. But then before I started classes, someone at one of the hospitals I did my externship, uh, they didn't promise me a job, but they extended an invitation, and I started the application, the hiring, not the hiring process, but like the interview process for them,
Hmm.
which kind of went into went into the semester, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a job. I'd rather save some money up and I could figure it out later.
Was
Um,
this your
and
last, was that your last semester at this point?
I graduated. This
This
is like
point, you've
right after.
graduated.
Yeah, I graduated in 2010, no, 9, around 2009, and the summer of 2009. And my plan at the time was to either work for a year or go to Hunter and just start the process of finishing up the bachelor's degree. I got that opportunity to interview, and I kind of led with that. I left the Hunter thing, plated that. I plated that. But the interview, the job situation kind of fell through. Ended up not having really anything to do. And then I started doing my research again. I was like, all right, if I have a year to sort this out, why not? Why limit my opportunities to what's around me? So I started looking to like state colleges, private colleges, colleges close, colleges far, and I came across HBCUs.
Wait, let me just see if I have your story straight so far. So you're
Yeah.
out of high school, you're this naive kid, you
Mm.
are put onto this rad tech program
Yes.
is it at CUNY?
Yeah.
At
Yeah. It's at a CUNY
college?
school in downtown.
You complete the
It was.
program. You are contemplating either med school or doing a year of working as a rad tech. It sounds like somebody extended like a fake offer, pseudo offer, which you were expecting to go for that job, but things
Mhm.
didn't work out the way you had expected. So now you were left with this gap year because you had
Mhm.
foregone applying to Hunter College for the prerequisites for med school at that point because you thought you were going
Mhm.
to work for a year first. And so now our point in your story is that you are now exploring other education options and you've now stumbled upon the realm of HBCUs.
Exactly. I
Okay.
do want to backtrack. I wasn't promised. It was
Mhm.
just I was one of like a handful of people interviewing for one spot, and they ended up going with someone else,
I
which
see.
is kind of, I don't want to look like something was promised to me, but you got everything right.
Yeah.
Everything else was right. So I did my research on HBCU, so, drawing from memories of old black shows on TV, like Different World and whatnot. It looked like it was fun. It
Which
looked like it
ones?
was um Different World. Different World was like the biggest one.
Ah!
Yeah, it looked fun. Everyone looked like they were family, right? And
Yeah.
everyone looked chill and relaxed, and they looked a lot more carefree from the people in my environment. So
Ah!
yeah, it was kind of, yeah, it was. I believe like TV was kind of like a form of escapism for me, right?
Mhm.
Kind of putting me seeing yourself in these different circumstances. So, um, Different World was the biggest one.
Mhm.
The Cosby, another one.
Mhm.
I remember seeing him with the Howard Med sweater in the show.
Mm. That's funny. I never peeped
Um,
that. I never actually saw him wear that, but
yeah,
that's insane.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Howard Med sweater in one of the shows. Different World. They made a lot of references. They also had that one character. I think her name was Kimberly. She was actually an aspiring med student or undergrad trying to get into medical school, and she ended up getting into medical school and becoming a doctor.
Mm.
So it was a lot of like, little things that I drew from Not that I was like 5 years old or 6 years old envisioning this, but I felt like it was an imprint there onto me as a little kid, right? Like seeing those figures, like that representation. And I think it helped spark that curiosity. Not to say like there was this big master plan, but I think everything served its purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I looked into Morgan State. I started the app there first, and then I looked into Howard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I, like 20 years old, 21 years old at the time, maybe around somewhere between 19 and 20, something like that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up applying to Howard. I got accepted,
Mm-hmm.
but I applied late, and I got my acceptance package later in the year. Like, kids usually apply like, I guess, in the spring, but I applied in the fall
Mm-hmm.
and got my acceptance for the spring semester of that following year. So
Mm-hmm.
that would have been spring 2010.
Okay.
And then at that point, I think it might have been like for $20,000 a semester,
Yeah.
and
Good old
I
days.
didn't have it.
Oh God.
I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I did my research again, looked into financial aid, and they did have transfer scholarship, like a freshman transfer scholarship they offered like once a year at that time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And decided to delay my start date to the fall of 2010,
Okay.
and reached out to the financial aid department incessantly, or if that's the correct word, just moving forward, like just called them, sent them emails, and I ended up getting the scholarship the following spring.
Mm-hmm.
It covered all tuition as long as I maintained a certain GPA.
Mm-hmm.
The only to come out of pocket for was maybe room and board a little bit.
Okay.
But it was a lot better than starting at the financially. It was a lot better than what I initially was going to do that spring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, ended up and I ended up working. I ended up finally getting a job uh the spring after I had that whole situation going on.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting my first job in rad tech. It was great. It was great money. I had a good time enjoying myself and hanging out with my friends, and um, making a great living for about 4 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saved up some money, and then I moved to DC. I
Mm.
packed up all my clothes, got everything packed and ready, and just went out on a whim to see what was going on.
And so the Rad Tech
And
program was in New York?
yeah, it was at a CUNY school.
Okay.
It was at a CUNY school.
Alrighty. And what was the
Yeah,
GPA that you had to maintain, just out of curiosity, for the transfer scholarship?
3.25.
Okay. Okay.
So 3.25 or 3.3, like one of those two. Um,
N-
that's what I had to do. And when I went in, I think none of my credits transferred over.
Oh
So it
God.
was kind of like they transferred, but they weren't applicable to my new path, my new track.
Which was?
Maybe I thought, which was biochem.
Okay.
So I think some of the prereqs did qualify, like pre-calc, bio one,
Hmm.
English, and some other things that I can't remember at the time, but it didn't amount to much. But thankfully, the scholarship was for 4 years, so I just decided to roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
When I got here, it was great. Like the first day I got here, just it looked like I don't know if I'm being like, is this my main character syndrome? But it felt like I was in one of in one of those shows that I mentioned earlier. Everyone was black. Everyone was just their versions of beautiful, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh my goodness.
And everyone genuinely looked like everyone was smiling. That's one thing. Like it wasn't like I'm from New York, so everyone,
Yeah.
everyone. I'm from the Northeast, so everyone kind of has that like stone face
Yeah.
and or fed up with some sort of problem going on. Everyone seemed like they were smiling and happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing that variety and or that diversity and blackness was just great. Like you have people that were like me that were from New York, that had money or didn't have money. But you got people from Cali, West Coast, the South, everywhere in between, and kind of bringing their own little, being like little their own little representatives from where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to see. You know, it was great to see. Not to say that like in real time I'm stopping everyone and like having this I have a dream speech or some inspirational thing and on the yard or something like that. But it was great to see. I took it all in. And plus I was a little bit older, right? I think I might have started at 21 or 22. I transferred when I was 21 or 22. So I had a little bit of real world perspective and experience. So I think I was able to appreciate that a little bit more versus me coming out at 17 years old and just, running the Fairmont. uh, so I had that. So I think being a little bit older and having that perspective, not losing the perspective of why I was there, why I wanted to be there was really helpful. And as far as the classwork, Howard is Howard. It was challenging. We didn't get a bunch of multiple choice tests put in front of us. Essay style questions.
Yeah.
They really wanted to make sure you were thinking. Especially the bio department.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it. I felt I didn't feel like I was on an island or by myself. Like I had my little friend group of folks that I studied with who were all trying to make it. Obviously, it changed throughout the years because people kind of, they get that class and they're like,
Yeah.
"Yo, Orgo, I'm out of here."
Out here.
"Oh, Bio One, I'm out of here." Like,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, which is fair. Like you kind of everyone is young and they're coming into college with their own vision and expectations. And then when they, when things, when the wheel or the feet hit the road, you kind of see what's for you and what's not for you, right?
Yeah.
With me on the other hand, all this, I mean, cumulatively, cumulatively, all the debt I was taking out, it had to amount to something. And I,
How
I
do you
had
mean?
to, I just felt like I had to make it work.
Mm.
Like in terms of like I'm delaying. I could have just went on with a rad tech career and made a decent living and moved on, but I delayed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now here, kind of having this extended young adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
and and that comes with a cost. It's just not having fun. Like I'm not starting a family. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like people my age were born.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I had to, I felt like I had to get the grades I needed to get to where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel switching up and just walking out of there with whatever was going to work for me.
Mm.
That's my personal perspective. I'm not projecting onto anyone else. It was just kind of how I felt.
Hmm.
And I
That
think it worked for me at that point.
you think it
Go
worked?
ahead.
You said you think it worked for you?
At that point, yeah.
Mhm.
But you were about to say something.
I was gonna ask. It's interesting that you had that perspective because it's very easy to, when we're in our own spaces, say, of course I was going to think of it that way. How else would I think of the situation? Like, of course I was going to make, something shake. But somebody else could have very easily said, well, the going is getting tough. So I'm just curious, do you think that there's anything else from your upbringing or your environment or anything else that pushed you to keep going as opposed to those people that didn't keep going?
Um, Again, in real time, I'm not looking at anyone. I'm not looking to my left or right to keep track of who's not there, or who's there, not there. But for me personally, it was just, I don't know. It wasn't, I didn't feel like it was more of like kind of, I think, a logical decision for me. I didn't feel pressured or backed into a corner. Like I got to make this happen. It was more so like, Mike, you're here for a reason. Don't lose sight of that. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easier to do that in undergrad, right? It was easier to kind of do that for me at that point in my life. I had told you I'm not an 18-year-old 17-year-old that doesn't know how to wash their clothes and doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to manage their money. Like I was older, so I had a little more experience, and I could compartmentalize fun and like work a little more like better, and hopefully so, right? There's a drastic difference between that, like those points of your life, especially with stuff that I added on. And I just felt like that was my perspective at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have been different if I was younger? For sure. For sure. Right. Because at that point I'm acting on what I wanted to do. Right. 17, I was acting on what my mom kind of put in front of me.
Mm.
So like I'm on so I like I see the difference between those two stages at that point.
Mm.
But yeah, it was tough though. Like, Howard is Howard with all the good and the bad. It was tough, man. Organic chemistry, regular chemistry, bio, um, and balancing that with like a social life was interesting, right?
Yeah.
Insecurities too, because like I am 22, 23, and then my cohorts are like 5 years younger than me.
Mm.
So it's not like we're going to school at NYU, like I'm in this urban setting. The same, like this urban setting was not like New York, right? Where everyone is kind of just mixing, mingling, doing their thing. It's like this class is here,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what they, and sometimes I felt like a fish out of water, but I wasn't that old, and I did it. I
I
was
was
able
gonna
to kind
say
of,
21, 22.
like,
Cool,
I
like
wasn't that. I wasn't that old, but I was able to still kind of navigate things and find people that I enjoyed spending my time with,
yeah.
the good and the bad parts. So yeah, it was fun. I lived on my own I lived in a dorm the first year,
Mm-hmm.
and then the following 2 years I lived in like a private house with roommates, and it lived up. That part of my life did live up to all the stuff you see on TV. It was
Really?
ridiculous.
Story
Yeah,
for
yeah,
another
yeah. It
day,
was
maybe.
it was funny. Yeah. You might want to cut that part out. But anyways, yeah. But but undergrad it was cool, man. I never had a problem with the GPA issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was able to maintain well above it, well above it for the majority until like that last semester when my procrastination caught up to me, where I kind of left Orgo, organic chem lab, and physics. I left those like 3 or 4 classes to my last year,
Mm-hmm.
and senioritis is kicking in.
Yeah.
But I was able overall, but I never dropped significantly below what I needed to. So I ended up graduating.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask,
Yeah,
what made you pick biochem as opposed to any other major and as opposed to biology, which is like the go-to?
biochem, major, chem minor.
Okay, got
So
it.
it wasn't like a biochemistry degree. No, it
Okay, I
wasn't a
see.
bio.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, and just for why I haven't picked bio, again, I don't have a mentor. I don't have a lot of outside experiences to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going off of what I'm researching on the internet, right? The internet has got me through life.
Okay.
So I looked into what the traditional paths were,
I
what
see.
things were the most efficient way of doing things, right? Yeah, I could have got any degree, but
Mm-hmm.
I would have had to extra work on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Or squeeze the prereqs into something else. I considered sports medicine, but I was like, I like sports, but wow, the medicine, what are we doing here?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but
And
otherwise, yeah, I graduated, moved on. I'm
what year did
still
you
kind of
graduate? Just for everybody.
2014,
Okay.
2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, again, I'm kind of just doing things on my own still, even up until this point,
Mm-hmm.
looking things up and figuring things out. Last year, again, I told you I procrastinated, so I didn't really set myself up for the best transition into medical school. So
Mm-hmm.
here comes other like gap year of trying to sort things out because my mission, my mind, it came to like, let me just get this bio degree done, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll figure everything out.
Yeah.
And then I did that. I moved back to New York, and then that hurt. Moving back from moving from DC,
Yeah.
which I had no like idea about before like going to it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I fell in love with DC. I still love DC.
Yeah.
Going back to New York, it was kind of a letdown. Going back home, so I'm with my mom, my little brother back home. I'm in the same environment, even though I know it's temporary and I still have this rad tech thing that I can lean on to make some money. It doesn't, everything doesn't come together when you want it. So
Yeah.
there's a couple months where I'm just kind of just floating. I had to get like a minimum wage job just so I could save up some money to pay for my MCAT.
Mhm. Can I ask what job you had?
Honestly, I might have worked for a supermarket
Okay.
for like a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I might have worked in like a dairy or something like that. It was
Yeah.
just for like a couple of months so I could just stack my bread so I could pay for my MCAT class.
Yeah.
My MCAT fee, not the class. That
Oh,
came later.
okay.
But yeah, so I paid the fee.
You remember how
Um,
much it was
ooh, it,
back in the day? Ooh.
I don't remember, but I definitely got a waiver for the full price. I didn't pay the full price because there was something with like low income, and you can get it for a cheaper price.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting that for that price, but I know it was several $100s. I
Yeah.
think it was a couple $100. I think it might have been around three.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been like around $300. I ended up going to save up for that. So I had my own expenses that I had to pay for, and that just was an added expense my mom really couldn't help with. Ended up saving up for that, paying for that. Around the same time, unfortunately, my mom ended up getting really sick and finding out she had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Around September, I took it in September. My mom got sick and found out she had cancer in September. And then she ended up passing away in November.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do the greatest on the MCAT either. Like, again, I'm doing this by myself and I'm not kind of setting myself up, doing the necessary things to excel because I'm just not familiar. And I just bought up and read through it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do like questions or anything. No one's telling me steady questions are the key to getting through this. I'm like, all right, I'm a pretty good reader. I could read things. This is how I've been doing it in undergrad, just reading things and
Mm-hmm.
not really doing questions, like just reading things. And it did not work for the MCAT.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the name of the game.
Yeah.
So I ended up just kind of focusing on kind of the more acute things life was throwing at me at that point. My mom had passed away in November. I had to take care of my little brother at the time. And then I ended up getting a position through a friend at the time through Job Corps. I mean,
Okay.
AmeriCorps, not
Yeah.
Job Corps,
America.
AmeriCorps. Yeah. So ended up coming like some outreach. It was a series of clinics called the Chelsea Clinics in the Ryan the Ryan Centers
Okay.
in Manhattan.
Ryan
They
Center, is that an FQHC? The Ryan Center?
I think maybe I didn't
A federally
maybe I
qualified
think
health.
they are. I think it is because their whole mission is to provide health services to the underserved, right,
Okay.
throughout Manhattan for the most part. I don't know if they expanded since then. I was based in the one in Chelsea,
Okay.
and they offered medical services for a sliding scale.
Okay.
So whatever you could afford per their sliding scale, that's what you would pay. And also they had different initiatives in there that they made us help with for outreach and engagement and to folks in the community, right? It was a really cool in real time. I'm like, man, I need to get into medical school.
Mm,
But in retrospect, it's like, wow, this was a really good program.
mm,
Like we had like a clean eating workshop. People like I remember one of my counterparts had a whole workshop that they did
mhm,
with people how to eat have more health more in a healthy manner. My thing was getting people signed up and engaged into the online services of the program, like the health portals and whatnot.
Mhm.
And we did little smaller projects like Habitat for Humanity. We also spent some time in soup kitchens, feeding the homeless at their different points. So it was kind of like this like all encompassing experience that was really like cool. In retrospect, I wasn't really, my mind was elsewhere, obviously, right? I had a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff going on.
That's kind of a big deal to kind of like stumble into Habitat for Humanity. Like, how did you find that opportunity? And
So,
Health Corp, AmeriCorps is not something that you just stumble into.
yeah, yeah. So one of my friends at the time was already in it. And I think someone had left the program. They had like a little cohort of people that they started with. And I think either they got funding for an extra position or someone left. I forget the
Mm,
story. But she ended up letting me know about it and connected me with
see.
the people there. And they onboarded me in. And I think I might have started like in January or something. So I didn't even start with them. I started maybe a few months after she connected me there. And then through that program, they kind of had little projects with Habitat for Humanity. I think
Um,
NYC or NY Hope. I forget. That was like the program they did that counted homeless people throughout New York. They spent
mhm,
like the night counting homeless people in New York and offering them services.
mm,
It was cool, like because I had no idea this part of healthcare and outreach and engagement and all this different stuff. So it was cool. Yeah, so I was kind of somebody just offered their help at the time and connected me. And then all of us were basically trying to either get a go into some sector in healthcare, whether it was like MPH, MD. Most of us were trying to get into like MD programs.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, so I did that for a little while, and then I ended up applying to medical school.
Okay.
Um,
Exactly how long did you
Again,
do it for?
so
A year?
I think it might have been a year or half a year, something around that. It was 2015,
Uh-huh.
and I think I know I didn't do it for the whole year,
Okay.
and then I ended up
Like around July or
um
so. Uh,
yeah,
Okay.
I got up out of there,
Okay.
and then I ended up applying to medical school,
Mhm.
and I had retook the MCAT. And this time around, like thankfully I had a nice little nest egg, and I actually paid for the captain class.
Okay.
So I like worked at AmeriCorps during the day,
Okay.
and I would run to the NCAT class in the evening.
Wow.
And they were about like maybe 5 to 10 blocks away from each other.
Mhm.
So I would just when I was at that site that was near it, it was kind of around the Midtown area, and I would just run over there
Wow.
after, and then I would take my class from like 5 to 8, and then I
Mhm.
had to run home and kind of see what was going on there with my brother and whatnot.
And how old was your
Um,
brother at the time?
he might have been, he might have been, he was in his like mid teens.
Okay.
He was in his mid teens, so like anywhere from like 13 to 16. I know that's like a big age gap, but getting old, and my memory is not as sharp. Yeah, but I think he might have been. I think he might have been like around like 13 or 14 around that time.
Okay. So it
13 or
was
14
just
around.
you and him at this point?
It's just me and him and my uncle who would
Okay.
come in. He my family is Jamaican, so my
Mhm.
uncle, although he was like here, he wasn't really here. He would go back to Jamaica for like 6 months or a year at a time.
Mhm.
But he came in when my mom got sick to help support her,
I
and
see.
he stayed for a little bit. He stayed for an extended. He stayed longer than I've ever seen him stay to
Mhm.
kind of help out. But
Mhm.
he ended up leaving at a certain point, which was kind of disheartening. I can't lie, like just being alone at that point.
Yeah.
It was just me and him because my brother has intellectual disability.
Okay.
So it was kind of really isolating. It was really isolating just to kind of just be there. But I appreciated, the help he did offer at that point. But anyways,
Well, let's pause because this is a lot. How did
Yeah.
you this is a lot, and I'm gonna edit this part out. I didn't even know that. Like, so
Oh.
how did you so where did you how do I ask this question? I guess where did the strength come from? Because I can't imagine going through all of that at the same time. You're trying to get your life set up. You have a major loss. You're dealing with a sibling who, having a younger sibling in and of itself that you're primarily responsible for is a lot. But then having a sibling with additional challenges, how did you
Mhm.
cope with all of that?
Um, Honestly, it just kind of highlighted kind of some of the reasons I got into psych down the line, right? That I'm not thinking about it. You're not thinking about it, right? A lot of people from underserved communities, I guess that's the term I'm using to describe it, right? People from less resource circumstances,
Mhm,
they think about things, but they don't got time to really dwell on it. It's
mhm,
kind of like your feet, you're in this stressful situation and you're just trying to get out of it,
mhm,
right? Imagine it was like you're in a war or something, for example, right? And someone's shooting at you. Like I guess you could have that freeze response, but some people are gonna just run until they're safe. And I think that's metaphor in a metaphoric way is what happened. Like I just was like, yo, I gotta let me get to the next step.
mhm,
Also, I felt okay in the fact that I did have that rad tech career to fall back on, right? Like
mhm,
it wasn't like this was this unskilled person with no alternatives. Like I had a safety net just in case something did go drastically wrong,
mhm.
right? And I was, or in terms of kind of becoming a doctor, I could go back and
To
do that
pivot
and
if
make
you
a
needed to.
yeah. And I ended up doing that a couple of times while I was in undergrad. I worked for the summer a little bit, filling in for somebody at an orthopedics clinic and doing X-rays and whatnot. But I had that. It was a mixture of all right. I have a job. I have a career I could fall back on. One and two, like I don't have time to really dwell on this. Like, wow, I need to go and buy food and cook it and prepare it and make sure my brother's okay. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I just kept work. I kept that momentum going until I felt a little safer, right? And that's what kind of got me through that point of getting to medical school. This has been like a 15-year thing since the end of high school. I'm
What?
trying to do my best. Kind of, it's like it's that from the end of high school, which is 2005, up until now. It's about 20 years. So I'm trying my best to encapsulate encap-
You're doing a fantastic job.
Okay, all right, all right. So what was the last thing I said?
So you were saying that you're at this point, you're applying for med school.
Yeah, yeah. So it's 2015,
Should be 2015 at this point, yeah?
2000, 2000 and yeah, maybe it was 15. Yeah, and it was the fall, I guess, around fall 2015,
Oh, actually, did
and
you
I
start
applied.
in 2015 or 2016? You're like
I started
2000.
medical school in 2016,
So are we in 2015 now or 2016?
like fall 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so fall 2015. So I ended up applying to medical school and I applied to like 19, 20 medical schools, whatever the limit. I think that was the limit.
Okay.
I don't know what the limit was, but I think it might have been. I think I might have my personal limit was 19,
Why
and
did you apply to
I
so
got
many?
because I had to take the MCAT twice.
Okay.
That was one, and so I felt like that was something that was gonna like kind of hold me back or not put me in the best position. My GPA wasn't the highest. It wasn't like below. It wasn't like some wildly substandard GPA, but it wasn't like a 3.8 or 9 or 4.0 or anything like that.
Do you remember
So I
what it
felt like
was?
It was, I think it was like a 3.4. It was between a 3.45 and a 3.5.
Okay.
So it was around there. It was around there. So it was good, but it was good in like in general standards. But for I'm applying with these highly competitive people, even the people that I was doing the AmeriCorps program, they were really competitive, right? So one dude I remember, who I think went on to finish medical school and everything, he he just applied to four.
Mm.
He was mass more. I remember him applying to maybe like three or four schools, and he was like, and he was playing. He was it was more, you know how they say scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. He was more on an abundance side. It was more so
Oh,
like I'm
he's like, you
applying to
got
the
this.
ones that I really want to go to. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
versus I'm just trying to get in, right? And his thing was like, I want to go here because not because they were the best or they were good school, great schools, but it was like, I got this going on. I got my girlfriend here, and this
Mhm.
is where I want to be. And like he was like, yo, I'm going. So I'm like, yo, I gotta get on my shit. So
Mm.
um thoroughly him in that experience, like just to kind of draw parallels or like comparing kind of where I was and what my thought process was at the time was like, let me just carpet bomb ERAS or
AMCAS, I think it
um,
was.
MCAS. I keep confusing it, but MCAS. Yeah, so I ended up applying. Oh my god, maybe a total of like 4 or 5 interviews.
Okay. Can I ask how
Uh,
you picked the schools that you picked? Was it like you applied to all HBCUs, probably all schools that you felt were reasonable or in the tri-state area? What were your criteria?
it
I remember.
was for me. It was yeah. I remember certain things that I was considering at the time, and it was HBCUs, right, and
Hmm.
also region.
Okay.
So I know they had some like regional preferences in their selection process. So I was like, all right, those are the two things I'm leading with. So I'm applying all the Northeast. I'm applying all along the East Coast.
Did you have any concerns about paying for school?
Not really. After my experiences in undergrad, I realized that it wasn't going to really be a problem. Like there's two problems, right? There's like immediately paying for things and loans.
Yeah.
Those are two. And with me, in my mindset is like, can I get somebody to pay it so I could get in? And that was the loans. The loans were gonna be there, and I felt okay with that. It wasn't like I didn't have that option and I needed to figure it out because that would have been a whole different storm, and I probably would have not tried it at all. Right? I didn't have a benefactor or anything to fund a medical school education. Right? I didn't even have one for undergrad, let alone well via scholarship. But outside of that, I had to use Pell grants and maybe a couple of like federal loans just to cover that living expenses. So thankfully, because all that stuff has limits. I don't think you realize that. Like there's a max out on all the loans you could use up. So
Hmm.
thankfully, the scholarship almost took a lot of that debt that I would have accumulated in undergrad, and then I moved it up to graduate school. The price of that it didn't really phase me as long as I had somebody to pay for it,
Got it.
and that was the
Got
federal
it.
government. So I ended up applying for loans, and it did what it did. My thing was just getting into medical school. That was the biggest thing for me. I
Hmm.
had gotten 4 invites, and two of them were HBCUs. And the first one was Mahiri.
Okay.
Mahiri sent an interview invite. My cousin lent me the money to fly out there, and for room and to get my hotel and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And went out there. It was dope. I liked Mahiri. The people were really warm. They had their own HBCU feel for it. It's in one of the more low key part of the countries in Nashville.
Hmm.
It's not quite like DC at all, but the campus was very HBCU. I'm using that. Yeah, it was very warm and everyone was, you know, black. It was cool. They ended up offering me a acceptance letter the way their system worked, it wasn't like personally for me, but the way like you interview and they let you know by the end of the week.
Wow,
And they
so
let me know
fast.
we yes, really quick. And I got my acceptance letter while I was at Howard visiting somebody.
Mm.
And it was amazing. Like I was so happy. I remember just being extremely happy, and it felt better. It almost felt better than when I graduated medical school. You know, like it was like
Wow.
wow. No, it was because that was a whole other thing with COVID and all that. But
Mm.
getting that acceptance was great. And so my plan, I was like, all right, that was in October 2015. I was like, all right, cool. Now I could just kind of chill out, start and regroup, right? Because all these things are happening. I graduated from Howard in 2014. My mom passes away at the end of 2014. I'm in AmeriCorps trying to get some experience and some money at the same time. And now I'm applying again. And like, what if and I'm taking my MCAT classes and trying to get in to a medical school the following fall. And I'm applying to 19 different programs or 18, whatever that number is. And I finally got the acceptance. So I felt like I was deserving of a break at that point.
Yeah.
Like whatever was going on had to just
Always tough.
wait. I was no longer in AmeriCorps. I got my acceptance. And I just kind of chilled for that spring. I think I might have lost like 50 pounds. I was working out.
Wow.
Like it was my time to just kind of chill and relax
Yeah.
before medical school because I didn't know what to expect with that, right? Like Orgo took me for a doozy. So I didn't know what medical school was about to do, right?
Hmm.
And now I get to 2016. My brother, I sent him to go live with my uncle's ex-wife
Okay.
because I was worried about what's about to go on, what's about to happen with him, because I can't watch him personally. I don't have like the financial resources and the time to kind of continue that. So I'm grateful for her accepting that. Then I ended up going down to DC, packing all my stuff up again, going to DC. I ended up living at UTC.
Mm. Yeah.
um, And medical school was a wild transition. It was literally, I don't want to sound boring and use this kind of like overuse reference, but at a whole fire hydrant, drinking from a fire hydrant. It
Hmm.
was literally, especially since my brain has been off in that regard for like 2 years. So it wasn't the easiest transition. And again, even though I've understood, like through my Kaplan class and understanding how much like testing, how to test, like you have to do a bunch of questions until you get everything. You learn through questions and whatnot.
Hmm.
I kind of didn't fully buy into it, and so I'm thinking like maybe me reading and a combination. I should have just stuck to the questions, man. Stuck to the questions. So I mean, I got through all my classes. Don't get me wrong, but it was hard. It felt like it took a lot of my energy.
Yeah.
Like I remember pulling lighters a couple of times, which were a lot easier in undergrad, but in medical school that it did not work. I remember pulling in undergrad and it worked. Like, I'll get the A. But
Yeah.
medical school, you
It's a little
end up
different.
taking the tired. Yeah, like you end up just being tired,
Yeah.
and then your tests still look like you were
Uh,
tired. Like you end up it was the law of diminishing returns actually
yeah.
was the case in that. So I don't advise anyone to put all nighters in medical school. Man. I really don't. But I got through the first year. You just do your basic sciences, and then the second year comes, and now you're doing pathology for the most part.
So then, with some of the challenges with that transition, was there anything that you can cite that made it a little easier? I know at Howard we were very fortunate that support was is something that's very much inbred, but is there anything specifically you can point to?
The people, just being around other people that were like myself again, like that, just that not feeling like I was on an island. Like I had my little group of people at the time that, let's go study. Let's do this. Even though it was difficult for me personally in the beginning, like having that camaraderie there really kind of helped me kind of get through those nights of studying. I wasn't just somewhere in New York isolated on in a library just trying to figure out my head from my ass. Like I was, we all look stressed out. We all look stressed out. We all look like we
Yep,
needed a nap. So
I remember.
so my expectations were like different, right? My expectations were like, all right, man, I'm supposed to be feeling like this. I'm not the only person struggling right now, or I'm not the only person that's stressed out. And that made it, I guess it was a trauma bond, right? It was like in a sense, so at least on my end. It's not to say this how everyone else's experiences were, but just mine. I liked having certain people around me at the time. Yeah, and I think the school was supportive too. Like how it again. I mean, they were helpful. Some of the admin was really helpful
How so?
and supportive. Just just like like it wasn't like this very sterile relationship where it was just it was like top down, like, oh, I'm your professor, can't ask me any questions. Like, they were personable. People were personable, right? Like, there were a couple of people I still talk to today that
You're right.
go down into their office and sit down and chop it up with them, and
Yeah.
and genuinely just have like real those things, those intangibles to me are helpful, are really helpful to me. They might not help you with a specific circumstance, like you're running low on money or something, or
Mhm.
you didn't do the best on an exam. They can't study for you. They can't put money in your pocket.
Well, Miss
But
Aitchison,
uh,
Dr. Aitchison,
well, yeah, she did.
actually,
Yes,
she could put money in your pocket.
she did put money in
She
there,
put a
but
lot
she
of money in
finds a
people's
way
pockets.
to help.
Yep.
Yeah, she helped people out. I remember there was some summers, man.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
summers like
She would make walks
um
up to the A building
try to fight for us.
to
It
fight
was
for
like
the students, and that was a walk.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Especially in the summer, like, it was a wild walk,
shout out
and
Dr.
she didn't have
Aitchison
to do that. And she was so pleasant. He
all the
was like
time.
it felt like 9 times out of 10 when you went to her office with a financial problem, she was gonna have some sort of solution. Well, that's why I say like things like that. Even though that was more directly beneficial to us, like with money wise, but like there were people like that who didn't. It wasn't money; it was just kind of them being cool. And those experiences helped kind of like you know get you through the summer when you just trying to get through the summer.
Hmm.
Trying to figure life out. You didn't feel like you were on an island by yourself.
Can you talk on some of the other resources that you found helpful? Because maybe that's something that somebody doesn't know to look out for as a potential resource on their journey.
Just in general,
Hmm. Outside of human resources.
I'm just really trying to think. Can you recall one? If you could recall one specifically, do my best to try to
Hmm.
piggyback.
Outside of human resources.
Mm.
I think, and this probably doesn't really pertain so much to the first year, but Howard definitely had a lot of plugs to opportunities, internships, and
Oh,
summer
yeah, yeah.
experiences. A lot of research opportunities that wouldn't have been open to students at other academic institutions. I mean, I didn't personally intern at the NIH, but that was something that was pushed. And, Bethesda is right there. So it wasn't a far-fetched opportunity for somebody after they took their board exam or after their first year to, if they wanted to go and do research, I'm going to just go and do the summer at the NIH. What? And then other
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
opportunities like the National Medical Fellowships had some summer opportunities for students in the realm of primary care as well. So I think that was one resource that was not, I don't want to use the term taken for granted, but after having the opportunity to see the level of experiences that Howard students are given, you just kind of take it
Mhm.
for granted that, oh, yeah, well, like the Howard Hughes Fellowship, we had opportunities to do research in stem cells, and oh, yeah, we could go to the NIH. But, students in other parts of the country don't have those opportunities. And those opportunities are sometimes the difference between ultimately what felt like residency you might get into. Somebody might see something on your resume, you interned at this place or you had an experience at that place, and that might be the leg that you need to get into that program. Or that might be the spark to why you became a surgeon, or maybe that's why you became an obstetrician, gynecologist, or a psychiatrist. But, the doors that going to Howard kind of opened. And then also the network outside of Howard.
Mhm.
I just feel like, so many Black doctors, and
Oh,
it's actually not a normal experience. And I have to constantly
no.
tell myself this is not normal to know this level of Black professionals performing at this level. It's actually not a normal experience. So yeah, I think those are two. I mean, that kind of goes into the human factor. So I kind of cheated a little, but
Definitely. I wasn't even thinking about some opportunities. You're right. Like you're in like the epicenter of all federal programs. So you
yeah.
could go to NIH. I remember visiting NIH one time in undergrad. One of our professors was really invested in his teaching and took our bio class to NIH. And for a tour, we got IDs to the NIH library. I never went back, but she exposed us. As far as summer programs, like they had that MSSRP program. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was with Howard, right? And you had that opportunity. You had the opportunity during the summer to find a research. They had like a booklet, kind of like a little. What's the word? I don't know. It was like a
Network?
booklet with all the research projects going on at HUCM,
Okay.
and you could look in, see what you like to do or get involved in for the summer, and you apply for it with that particular program, with that particular research project, and they would pay for it. It would give you like, $3,000-4,000, I believe, or something like that for the summer.
Mhm.
And it was like maybe 2 months. You could just do that. Like you didn't have to go to a different institution necessarily. You could have just stayed at Howard.
Yeah.
I did that for 2 summers.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so I did it for 2 summers, and you got a chance to present your research project at the end of the summer at one of those poster presentations. And I ended up being Dr. Lee, who I'm still in contact with today. We worked together for 2 summers. That was cool. Like, you could just stay at Howard and find something to do for the summer. Go to NIH, go to a sister institution or something, or a different institution. I remember the second time around that we went, I ended up going to Georgetown at their research lab
Mhm.
because there was something going on with his lab at the time. And he had a colleague at Georgetown, and we ended up going there. And that exposed me to how they do things over there in terms of research. They had a whole dedicated building to this, and they had a lot of their students were in there. Got a chance to work with some people there briefly. Um, and that was dope. So there's a lot of opportunities. Again, I think my story was me trying to just get through things, and me and my thing was just getting through medical school. Like that was my thing. And when I did it, there were opportunities I did. I tried to, you know, entertain them as much as I can, but my focus was just getting through medical.
You try to entertain who as much as you can?
Like when there were opportunities, extracurriculars,
Oh,
I
okay.
would do what I can, but
Yeah.
I wasn't someone who was gonna have 13 publications or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. I was more so like let's do this thing one class at a time.
Hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So medical school, that was an experience, but I felt like it got gradually in terms of like the coursework, it got easier as you move along. Like the first year was probably the culture shock. The second year, you were like, okay, I feel like I'm in medical school now. Like I'll be learning about diseases and whatnot. And then third and fourth year, third year, like bro, the clinicals, that's a culture shock within itself.
Yeah.
But you know, and I started off on surgery, so it was really so it was really a
Uh,
culture shock.
enough said.
But yeah, but I ended up meeting some cool people in surgery. And my second rotation was psych, so that was good. I enjoyed that big that shift of kind of not just always being on to a little more hungry. There was a little more, it was more humanistic, right? I really didn't think about that humanistic side of medicine until I got to psychiatry, right? You're just thinking about, you know, cells, diseases, and all this objective stuff, and you're not really putting like the people, their experiences, and you're not putting that all together until you got to psych. And I'm like, all right, you got the psych, you actually learning about people, you're learning about yourself, right? You're learning about people are not just their disease. They come with a whole they come with their baggage, whatever that is. We all have it, right? But they come with that, and that's when that ties into their treatment too. I liked it. I never thought about practicing medicine in a way that didn't have a focus on cutting people, giving them, hospitalizing them, not being hooked to an IV, not needing, like in the same context. Like it wasn't. I didn't. I always thought about it in the frame of medicine and surgery. I didn't think about psychiatry,
Yeah.
and I think that was kind of refreshing to see that. Um, at that point, I think I made my decision to either go into medicine
Mhm.
or psych. Medicine, I was interested in cards, GI,
Okay.
definitely not general, but it was either cards or GI. I just liked them from like a learning perspective. I almost felt like human plumbers in a sense, like just
Oh,
kind of
that's interesting.
everything kind of made sense. Like everything kind of made sense with enough repetition. Not that I was like I wasn't a genius or understood everything, but it just made sense to me.
Hmm.
And psych, I just like the approach of it. Um, I feel like I have decent interpersonal skills. I would like to think so. At times, I think
Think
I'm
so. I
rational.
think you're right. I think so.
Yeah, I think I'm relatable at some points to certain people. Not relatable, but you know what I mean. Anyways, as we got closer to now, it's ERAS. Yeah, closer to ERAS, ended up making my decision to apply to psychiatry, and I ended up applying to psych, and I interviewed at NYU. I interviewed at like 8 places,
How many did you apply
and
to? Do you remember?
mm, good question.
Or
There's
roughly?
two numbers that stick out. I think it was the first. It might have been. It might have been 40, between 40 and 50,
And
maybe.
how did you, again, like similarly, how did you select? Or you just like went crazy and you were like, I'm going to apply to as many as I can pay for?
As many as I could pay for, and also
Yeah.
region.
Okay.
Region, as many as I could pay for, in places that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
So I, I'm not from California, but I did apply to California.
Okay.
I had an interview. I had maybe I think one interview there,
Hmm.
and then I applied to a bunch of places along the East Coast.
Okay.
And I think I might have had 8 interviews in total, or close to that,
Hmm.
something like. I remember NYU was a really great experience. Um,
As in the interview was a good experience.
yeah, it was a good experience. Um, what else? I'm trying to think. Interviewed at Howard. That was dope. I think some of the luster kind of wasn't there because it was my home institution.
Yeah.
And I think I interviewed at Georgetown. I interviewed at Meharry again. I interviewed at SUNY Upstate. But the southern places weren't that gracious. Like it was mostly northeast and the UCLA VA.
Okay.
There's like a couple of programs UCLA, the VA had gave me an interview. They were great. They were great. Like They were offering monthly stipends. They were laid back and very like you felt like you were going to be in good hands just from talking to them. It felt like you were going to be
Mhm.
in good hands going to that program. But in the back of my mind, I was like, moving halfway across the country
Mhm.
and talking to one of the chiefs, and they were telling me how they had to dip into their savings to pay for their apartment.
Oh, wow.
And this might have been like 2019 at the time,
Yeah.
and he said he was paying like 3,000 something dollars a month, which isn't astronomical now, but 2019, now I can imagine what that apartment costs now.
It is astronomical. Even now, that's a very high amount.
I live in New York. I live in New York, man. I live in New
Fair.
York, so
Very fair.
yes. So what happened? So I applied. I think I ranked NYU maybe the top because I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna have a real job. I can go back to New York. I could be around friends and family and enjoy all of that stuff, and
Mhm.
I could get back to like real Chinese food.
Oh my.
Uh, uh all these other things that I shouldn't have been paying attention. But anyways, like let me get back to that. So I ended up going to NYU. Thankfully, they ended up accepting me later on because that
Okay,
cycle,
wow.
like I didn't pass CS
Mhm.
and ended up I couldn't into the ERAS, so I had to apply a
Mhm.
second year. NYU
Mhm.
gave me a second interview. At this point, it's
Oh.
all virtual. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So it was a dark period. I can't lie. Like, it really hurt my confidence. Um, but I ended up getting through it. They ended up cutting the CS off. Like they ended up, I don't think you're aware of it, but they ended up
Yeah.
stopping killing that test, and then I ended up applying, matched with NYU.
Mhm.
I was deciding between the second time around. I was deciding between NYU, GW, and I think those were like the two ones that I was kind of deciding GW, NYU, and everything else was kind of all just whatever. And I ended up matching with NYU.
Okay.
And then I started in 2021, man. And again, I took like a gap year. So now I'm going into intern year, not the freshest material and kind of being in a clinical setting. And it was rough. Intern year was rough. It was, let me just describe the general landscape of intern year. It was a couple months of medicine, 2 months of neurology consults, and the rest of the year it was 1 year, one month or 2 weeks of primary care, and then the rest of the year was inpatient psychiatry, and then maybe a month of emergency psych. So basically, half the year you're doing something that's not in inpatient psychiatry. And I just remember just being constantly like sleep deprived. It was ridiculous. um, yeah. Anyways, let's reset. Let me reset this. So I ended up going to NYU for residency. Yeah, intern year was tough. Learned a lot of things, and we got through it. Second year, between first year and second year, I actually had some medical issues that kind of derailed me. It started during the pandemic, but like I had this condition called keratoconus, and I basically was blind in my right eye, and I ended up having to get a corneal transplant between my first and second year. So I ended up like missing like the month of my second year, and I took like a little small leave of absence to deal with that. And then I came back, adjusted to that. That was tough. I had medical appointments like damn near every month, it felt like, or every couple of, just too frequently. I had to get like excuses, miss a lot of lecture. But I was able to get through second year. Third year was the godsend for me. That was when I felt like all right, Mike, this is what I need to be doing. Right.
Yeah.
Outpatient psychiatry. Outpatient psychiatry. I love it. Like I get to meet people and follow them longitudinally, right? Like I don't have to, it's not this turnaround of like, all right, you're in here for 3 days, 4 days, and send you back out. And I'm filling out a bunch of documentation and trying to basically put out fires in a sense, right? And then I
Mhm.
never see you again, hopefully. Now I get to actually meet people. I get to learn what their favorite shows are. I get to learn about their families. I get to talk about their divorces, their marriages, their like the people get get pretty candid with you, like
Yeah.
they just they I guess I'm a doctor, we're doctors, right? So people have this a trust in us that comes with that. And they talk to you like they known you for years if they like you,
Yeah.
and it makes it so much easier to deliver that personalized care they need, right? Because you're thinking about so many different aspects of their life when you put together a treatment plan. Like, oh, she always has problems with her sleep. She's really forgetful, or she has a lot going on right now. She might need this for a couple of months to get her through, and I like that. It just allows for a more nuanced delivery of care, man. Yeah, and I felt like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's what I'm doing now. Not to say it doesn't have its own things that you don't like, right? Everything is a balance of that. But I think versus my other experiences in psychiatry, I feel like this was the one that was for me. And now we're here. Now I'm gearing up to graduate in 3 months. You know, I'm knocking on wood because nothing for granted.
You're
After
fine.
everything, yeah. So I take everything. I don't take nothing for granted. Yeah, and right now I'm just trying to figure out what works for me. It's been a journey. Anyone who's going to go through this is going to have their specific challenges. It might not even be academic, right? It might be personal. It might be a combination of both, right? But I think from my personal experience, I'll start with the things I did differently.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had more. Would have relied. Would have opened my. I wish I was more open to having people support me, right? I think I have this kind of New York mentality where you just want to just do things on your own. You feels kind of weak to ask for help, or you know you're scared of that rejection. But there's people out there asking and getting things,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like you kind of need to take that. Well, if you are the person that deals with that or has that hiccup, you need to that your priority is to get rid of that. Right. The sooner the better, whether it's in undergrad or your second run in undergrad or in medical school. And if you're feeling like, you need this from somebody, whether it's money, the air someone to listen to you, therapy, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to ask. And in you extending yourself to someone might trickle into an opportunity or something beneficial for you down the line. So I think that's something I wish I might have done differently. I'm grateful for what I have. I'm cool with what I got right now, right? But I felt like I could be honest with myself and say, yeah, that was something I felt like I could have done a little bit better.
Mm.
And give more grace to myself, like realizing you aren't supposed to go into every phase in your life knowing everything before you get there.
Yeah.
It's okay not to know things. You know, you kind of being satisfied with just knowing that you're doing your best, right? And if that's what you're doing, being satisfied with that. I don't know, I sound very hallmarky, but it's really the simple things, man. Like, I think when we're young people and we're like in we're 17, 18 years old, we think we gotta have the master plan down to a T and micromanage like, no, I think once you get older, you start to see it's really simple things and being consistent and intentional about things that will get you the results. Consistency and intention the intentionality or whatever the word is. Those two things will
Mhm.
get you far, man. But yeah, those are the two things I think I would have kind of hoped that I could have tweaked during my journey. Otherwise, I'm cool. I'm cool. I like where I am in life.
That's amazing. That was
Yeah.
just incredible. I guess, I mean, you've kind of touched on, I guess my very last question for you is just, and you kind
Yeah.
of have already, like I said, touched on it, but just goals, visions that you see for yourself the next, it
Mhm.
sounds like, you're wrapping up and you're going to be going out into attending HUD, but what else do you see for your career down the line at this point? Or do you have aspirations outside of just
Yeah.
practice?
So with me, I think for the first handful of years of my career, I just want to just learn as much as I can as a new attending. There's a steep learning curve from what everyone is telling me. So being in a place that can offer that support, right? Because again, like those are the things that I wish I would have tweaked along my journey is be extending myself and getting that support. So I want to be around a place that does offer that support, knowledgeable staff that could teach me things or give me a different perspective on things that I'm dealing with, and not trying to feel like I need to figure every single thing out on my own. So being with an affiliated clinic, I think that will be helpful. That is something that I want to do for some time, and then eventually um, open a private practice. Start off small down the line, like just getting people that throwing advertisement out there and seeing who kind of bites.
Okay.
And hopefully I have some people around me at that point that can kind of give me pointers in that and see where it goes from there. Again, I'm still open. I don't mind working within a system too and climbing the ladder, but let's see how that goes, man. Like it just I'm really open. Again, I guess my formula, I didn't have a formula per se, but I think what's characteristic of my journey has been having a plan, but not being too staunch in it, right? Not being too firm on it or fixated on whatever that vision is. Allow room for things to happen, all right? And if I continue my career and become a CEO of my hospital, that would be lovely, right? Or if I work and my focus is patient care for the next 20 years, God willing, or 25 years, that's fine with me too. Private practice is what I'm aiming for right now. Hopefully. So,
Yeah.
and whatever that leads to, yeah, it's kind of focusing on me. It's been a lot of kind of external things that have been driving me. And now I kind of just want to come into my own and figuring out the things that I like to do. I know this is not medically related and might not apply to other people, but
No,
that's
this
what
is
I'm
good
gonna
actually.
focus.
I didn't even think to ask you, like, you're a whole human being. I didn't even ask you like your likes, hobbies, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, man, just figuring those out because like now I'm getting towards the end, and I'm I don't know if this was for you, but I got more reflective as residency went on. At least from fourth year, it feels like I've been more reflective. Like,
Yeah.
what do I like to do? What do I like to do? Hey,
Yeah.
what do I like to
Do you
do,
have
and
any
what fits
hobbies
in
at
my
all?
budget? Yeah, like going on a vacation. I mean, that's cool, but do you that's not a hobby. That's not necessarily a hobby, right? Like, do you like
Depends.
paint? It can be, but we talking to a very specific crowd, right? And I'm not part of that. Like, I don't got it like that, right? But what do I like to do? Do I like to paint? Do I like to ride BMX bikes? Do I like to? Am I a blogger? I'm definitely not that, but like whatever. What is it that could give me that could give me that balance that I'm looking for, right? It just one thing like I think the becoming a doctor, it can put you in this. It can make you be very tunnel vision, right? Like
Hmm.
super tunnel vision. I need to get to this. I need to get to that. I need to get, and you lose sight of like what you can lose sight of certain things. I have friends that did not lose sight of that. I have friends that the lonely journey, they did not miss a beat of their personal life. But for me, I felt like I did. So um I
Yeah.
think that focuses I think that's something that's coming into focus for me, you know?
Amazing. That is just incredible. I think
Yeah.
I think you've shared a lot with myself and with our members here, and I'm so very thankful
Hope
to you for
so. I
sharing
hope so, man. I
your
hope so. Hope
story.
that all made you know, but it's like that was 20 years. It's been so much. And yeah, no, we here, man. I'm glad I could help.
Thank you, and you were amazing.
It was my pleasure to help.